Welcome to the Cedar Park United podcast. Advent prepares us to welcome God with us. Radical welcome sets the table and lets go of what no longer serves to make space for new possibilities. Depending on how we understand it, service can be an act of worship drenched with hope and gratitude. Today, on this first Sunday in Advent, we hold the theme of hope as we listen to an apocalyptic text. Today, pastoral minister Jessica Gauthier invites us to consider how we serve and how we hope, even at the world's end.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable to you, Holy One, because you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. So Advent always begins with an apocalyptic warning like the one we just heard. It's a reminder that the future is not fully in our control. It's also a reminder that the truly human one, what we sometimes read as the Son of Man, but I like the truly human one because it opens the door for other richer even understandings. It's a reminder that that truly human one shows up in unexpected times and places. And I think we know something about that feeling right now. This is our first Advent, our first New Year's, since the retirement of a beloved lead minister who guided our community for so long. We're preparing to welcome someone new, but we don't know who or when. We've entrusted this process to the discernment of a small group, and we hope they know what we need. We're in transition. We're holding what has been, and we're making space for what will be. And in the middle of all of this uncertainty, I think Advent is asking us some things this year. How do we prepare the way? How do we hope? How do we serve in the face of so many unknowns? And I don't have a set of pat answers for you, so I'm going to tell you some stories. And they've been these little Advent glimmers. I think we call them glimmers here, right? Yes, little Advent glimmers of hope for me this week. On Friday afternoon, I was working in my office. I heard the sound of very small children just learning words, and they can run really well. They're made of rubber, and they were laughing and playing all over the building, and it startled me in the best possible way. It was so beautiful, that sound. That's the sound of life and youth and childhood echoing through this place. And when I finally poked my head out of the office to go and make an appearance at supper together, I met all kinds of people. Some came because there was a delicious meal. It really was delicious. Some came for company. Some came and it was their first time since we still had pews, and they're coming to check this place out. And when I finally went up to eat, most of those serving me were quite young. Under 18, maybe even under 16. I learned from Martha that they had remembered something from last month. You said next time we could help serve. And so they showed up and they held her and everybody else to that promise. And they stepped into service with so much joy and pride in belonging. I wonder if that's a little bit of what Jesus means when he says, stay awake, be ready. You promised I could serve. Live as though what you have to offer matters, because it does. Another story. Earlier on Friday, before supper together began, I was in the sanctuary trying to prepare the Advent wreath. I had brought cedar from home, and I collected bearberries from the church grounds. Truthfully, we want to be good stewards in this season of transition. Don't want to risk acquiring something that, for one short season, if the new lead minister is not perhaps going to make use of it. We want to make space for this person to shape the ministry that they'll inherit. And that is a very important part of my role. So, no buying new stuff. I called my chandler friend and my church lady who does the Advent wreath from my home church friend. And you know, they have, well, now they only have 9, but they had 10 complete Advent candle sets because not from buying so many candles, because they have a chandler who reconditions them, but because this church is a product of many amalgamations over the decades. And so they were so delighted to gift us any that we wanted. Those are the ones we're using this year. Other than that, you go and just use take whatever you want. It's a gift. And we said, thank you. We'll offer a small contribution to your children's Christmas gift campaign. So every year, you know, they buy Christmas gifts for children who might not otherwise get a present. So we had the candles, and we had the bearberries, and we had the cedar, and I brought us a table from my living room. Don't worry, I have a lot of tables right now. I'm in an inheriting space sandwich generation. But inside, I was very worried because my mind imagines things in words, but not pictures so much. So I was imagining myself wrestling with branches at midnight. And then someone I hadn't met before walked into the sanctuary. She had come to help with supper together. And as far as I could tell, it was just some deep desire to serve. It wasn't something religious or anything like that, as far as I could see. And she looked at the cedar, and she looked at the berries and the candles, and then once she was sure I wasn't going to take offense, I think I made that part easy for her, she got right to work. Well, let's see what we can do with this. And she risked her skill and talent. She risked them because she used only what was at hand. That's a lot more difficult, no matter how talented and creative you are, than having an idea and buying whatever you need to make it happen. She took what we offered, and she made a beautiful Advent wreath. Old school, to be cautious about flame, keeping it low, the way they used to do it. I thought that took a lot of humility and generosity and creativity and love from someone I didn't know, freely offered to this community of faith. And I thought, yes, this is Advent. This is hope. This is service. We risk it. We offer whatever we have for beauty, for community, for God, for each other. Then, while still eating supper together, someone told me about a friend in AA who still goes to meetings because he gets fed there. But he also sometimes goes when he doesn't really feel like it or need it. He says that's because there might be someone there who needs what he has to offer. We come here to be fed, or because someone may need us to feed them. And then late Friday night, long after I had returned home and even gone to bed, after a full day of work and service, I got an email. The tree is up. Somebody did that. No fanfare, just an act of love, no doubt a very weary act of love after a long day. Service, keeping hope alive for another season. And not all service is physical. Some of it is presence, listening, understanding, bringing wisdom to the situation. This kind of service quietly observes and then wonders, how can this need be met? Who do I need to talk to about this? The week before Remembrance Sunday, I was trying to find sticker poppies for my residents at St. Andrews because I didn't want them to get poked by the pins, and I didn't want people to be invading their personal space. Now they have these real official sticker poppies from the Legion. And I was calling grocery stores and checking in, making calls. I had a friend who's a chaplain for the Legion, checking in with her, nothing. Then finally, I called the Legion in Pierrefonds, where I live, and the man who answered, hey, I'm on the road right now, but I have your number here. I'll call you back in an hour. He calls me back, takes my information, and then gets in his car and drives right to my home with 100 poppies. And he received my donation gratefully, but I feel like he would have given me them anyway, in either case. He just saw a need and responded in a very practical way. Last month, when I was pretty unwell, someone slipped into my office a few times and watered my plants. It was a small and tender gesture, and it was exactly what I needed when I came back into the office. As I love to say, God's strength is made perfect in weakness, and service flows in both directions. Sometimes we serve, sometimes with humility we allow others to serve us. And both of these things are acts of hope. I was also kind of reminded this week that service it's both a noun and a verb. A church service, tea service, serving communion, serving supper, serving one another. And the word minister comes from the Latin for servant, which has its root in something small. I serve this community by helping as many people as possible to serve. And I believe with all my heart that Cedar Park United's future is found in service, in the ways that we care for each other and for our neighbors, because service is an act of hope. It creates hope for others, and when we cannot find hope inside ourselves, Sometimes serving actually helps us reconnect to it. Hope and service make space for new life and new wisdom to enter. They prepare the way. So we don't need to give our service with grand gestures. We just offer ourselves to God and each other in small, hopeful ways. Thanks be to God, and thanks be to all of you. Amen.
Thank you for listening to the Cedar Park United podcast. If it inspired you, or comforted you, or even ruffled your feathers in a good way, please consider leaving a positive rating or subscribing to help others find their way here too. It matters.